That's it. We are live. Today is the 1st of February 2019. Hello, everybody in the chat room. Good evening, good morning, good afternoon. On the panel today, we have our Patricia, we have Josh X, we have Martin Kenny, and we have Trinity for Dave. And the talk is about Trinity Torus. But anyway, good evening, guys, and Patricia.
Good evening, everybody.
Good evening.
Hello.
First of all, thanks very much for joining us on this day, and I know that Dave's very happy that you have.
Our pleasure.
Yes, thank you very much. It means a lot to me that some people have turned up, and I've put a really rough, some rough ideas out on my channel, and I've had a few healthy comments come back. So I'm buoyed, and I'm looking forward to building something. Hopefully, looking to see whether I've overlooked something obvious, but to maybe, use other people's deep knowledge to add a few bits of the puzzle that are missing, because I've put a model together, but I don't have all the answers.
Can I say 1 second? I just forgot to mention that Astral is with Martin Kenny at the moment, isn't he, Martin Kenny?
Yeah.
Yes, he is. He's sat right next to me.
Hello, everybody.
Hey, Astro.
Hi.
Astral.
He's helping Martin Kenny with his new house.
Yeah.
Sorry about that. Dave asked a question, but I just realised that I hadn't mentioned Astral. So Dave's been putting this together and got some ideas. And Dave, do you want to start talking about it? And then, of course, I'm sure that these guys here will have something to say.
I think that would be a good way to go about it. I think to start, maybe just to clarify where some of this is coming from. I think it would be right and proper to start by saying that these ideas that I have, although I think they're my own ideas, they come on the back of deep information that a bunch of teachers, predominantly on YouTube, but a bunch of teachers have given me over the last few years. And so I'm really grateful for that. I want to call it, at this point in time, I want to call it the triple torus model. I did call it the Trinity Torus model because we know of the Trinity. We know of the three being so very, very important in our world. And so I think what got me towards this idea of the three was that so much of our world, our natural world, is made up of the three. Insects have the three-part body. The tree of life is the three parts. You've got the canopy, you've got the trunk, and you've got the roots, the three key parts of the tree. And the human body is also segmented in the three. You've got the upper section, you've got the trunk, and you've got the lower section, the legs and the genital area. So that was the first thing that caught my attention, was this idea that my cat is invading my shot. There was there's the three in play, and I came across something the other day in my mind. I don't know what brought me to it, but I realized that the three of the 33, and you guys might have already seen me do this, but I'm going to pull this picture up if I can. If you'll bear with me. Technically, I've got not the best of skills here, but my cat and I are going to have to fight over this. Let me see. So can you see my screen now? I know the resolution won't be great, but can you see that?
Yep. Double McDonald's sign.
Yeah, that's the double McDonald's sign, which on its side, or upside down or right way up, will create the infinity or the 8. And
yeah,
what I hadn't seen anybody really do that. So the 8, I've got a little board here that I found in a skip the other day. So the 3, I'm going to do some drawing here, and I'm holding my phone at the same time, so I do apologize for any unsteadiness in the presentation of this. Okay, so the 2 3s inverted give us, this comes back to the Tesla 3, 6, 9, and he says if you understand the beauty of the 3, 6, 9, you'll have one of the keys to the universe. So there's the 3, and of course there's the 6, and of course here is the 9. So this would be my 9. Now, so I've found that the 3, 6, and the 9 are embedded within this shape of the 8.
Yeah.
Okay. So I started to try and unpick this 3, 6, and 9, and we know that the 9 is the feminine, and the 6 is the masculine, and that leaves the 3 as the neutral, because in any electrical system, let me turn my camera back around again. In any electrical system, we know that we have 3 key parts. We have the positive, we have the negative, and we have the neutral. And so what I did the other day was I did a little drawing, which I will show you. To kind of depict this. Okay, no, I need to back up just a little bit. And say that one of the keys to me taking this next step in my thinking is this information that we've been shown about the primer fields, and a guy called David Lapointe, I think, is the guy who kind of kicked all of this research off on the primer fields. And the primer fields, if I can just kind of quickly show a little bit of this video, I wouldn't want to get anyone into any difficulties here. I won't necessarily need to play any of it, but these primer fields, if you can see these here, have you guys come across this stuff? Have you looked into the primer fields at all?
No, but I have it in the standing from within. But me and Martin did get sent this video by Sam together before.
Okay.
And we glimpsed at it for a little bit. It's really nice, isn't it?
It's incredible. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
so I'll just give you a quick rundown and say that what you've got here is 2 bowl-shaped magnets, opposite polarity, and they can drop these non-magnetized balls in between them, and the field that's created in between of these magnetic structures perfectly forms the sacred geometric shapes that we understand as the tree of life, or that the Fibonacci sequence, and all of these things are built from. And so what they've proven, these are kind of mainstream science guys, so they're obviously ballers, but what they've demonstrated is that you with a 2 very strong electromagnets, you can create a third force, or a third field, which is this primer field. And this primer field, I wanted to show you something else. This primer field is well, it does a bunch of things. You can, if you move these bowls further and closer apart, you can get the field, the point at which these are acting on these other magnetic shapes. You can get that to alter, right? And this is important information for later in the presentation. So I'm glad I'm just showing you this. I want to show you this image here. This image here is basically a construct of how I suggest our universe might be constructed at the primary level. So you will have in this case, it's inverted. I would say that it would be blue on the top and red on the bottom, but we'll get into that later on. That you've got a negative and a positive force here, and they're creating and interacting. But in addition to what this guy has got here, and this goes on to detail this, I think, in this presentation, but that there's a third force that's created in the center here at the kind of the ground zero or the X point, and you see the X shape here. You'll see a lot of our numbers and letters, phonetics letters will come out of these shapes that are formed by these primer fields. And this interestingly, this guy goes on to show a whole lot of NASA programming on different kinds of shapes that are formed in the universe. And obviously these are images that are given to us by NASA, but they do fit within this idea of there being like an accretion disk. An accretion, if you jumble the letters around, is creation. So it's a creation disk that is being formed between these two fields. And when they go on and put this in a vacuum chamber, these two magnetic bowls, and they can create this plasmatic field, this accretion field, which they match up to things that are going on. I mean, they may not be going on quite in that way, but this is stuff that comes to us from, activity that's going on out in the deepness of, whatever the universe is. So this is, for me, was very compelling information that actually what they say when they talk about, well, I'll just go forward just a little bit. I want to show you this. Sorry, that's just phenomenal what is going on here. But it creates basically an accretion disk, which is where I'm saying this might be the Goldilocks zone. This might be the place where we are living. And it's a third force that's being created by these two electromagnets. But the third force is being created within the etheric soup or within the plasmatic soup of the universe. So that's the kind of place, that's what kind of got me thinking along the lines that actually it may all be down to these magnets and electrical forces operating, as we know all electrical forces do, generally in a neutral environment. So what I'm going to do is show you, firstly, let me just take a little break and make sure that I haven't lost you guys. Are you still with me?
Yeah, mate. To me, that's just how I see the universe, mate. I see it as like 7, 8, 9. You see, 7 is the 7 colors to the torus map. 8 would be the reciprocating hyperboloid at the center, and 9 would be the center of that. So this is why 7, 8, 9. 9 would be at the center of the reciprocating hyperboloid, creating the inertial plane, and also the light, the sonoluminescence that you're seeing there. So that would be our central sun that has always been spoken of. And that's the true projector to our stars. And the rest of the suns and moons, or say, let's just ignore the moon for a second. The suns, to me, is the reciprocation of the lines in the magnetic field from the positive and negative. And as they cross, they create the sonoluminescence of the suns. But our central sun is to do with the 7 color map of the torus, which is then creating 8, the reciprocating hyperboloid, and then 9, which is the mother or the feminine, would be at the center, which is the void, and then it's creating that light, which would be our central sun.
Okay.
And that's how I calculate it.
Okay. Well, that's helpful. Does anyone else have anything else to add?
I didn't.
We're listening.
Okay. Okay. That's cool. So I want to carry on.
We have talked about some of these things in the past, but it's really great to hear.
Cool.
You guys talking about it today.
the thing is, I haven't. This is was my part of my thoughts was, I haven't followed every conversation, obviously, that's happened in chat rooms over the months and years, the last few months and years. So, some of this stuff may already have been said, but I hadn't quite got to this point. Now, Josh, where I will.
Can I just say quickly that you're absolutely spot on, Dave and Josh. If you research Walter Russell, Victor Schauberger, and even Sanders Bonacci, I think Sanders Bonacci was talking about this in 2013. This model. So everything you're saying is confirmed, definitely, 100%.
Okay.
And it's beautiful that it's coming within you, man, which is amazing because.
So,
amazing.
Thank you. So, what I then thought, okay, so this is a slight variation, I think, on what you were saying, Josh. What I then thought was that if we're looking at the electrical system and we're looking at the tree, we're looking at, initially we're looking at these three energy centers. And I said in one of my videos that, you've got the torus. If you're looking for now we're looking at magnetic torus fields. We know that we've got Taurus the bull in the head. We've got the torso in the chest, and the heart is in the chest, which is an electromagnetic pump of some sort. And then we've got the clitoris and the male equivalent. So I started to think that we are like a dumbbell, or like where you've got a sort of a peach on one end, a trunk in the middle, and a peach on the top end of that, right? And that in the sense of how we look at chakras and how we look at our earth and our world kind of matches with this idea that the red is in the lower region and the blue is in the higher region, and the heart is obviously at the center, the green. So when I look at the numbers 9, 6, and 3, I assign the 9, the blue, the feminine, to the top, because that's where she sits in the chakras, and that's where she sits in our world, in the blue sky above us. To the bottom, I assign the red, the hot, the dark chakras, the lower, the heavy, the stronger, to the lower, and that's the 6. So then finally, you've got the neutral place, nut, or nurture, or nutrient, which is what you get from the earth and from the heart and from the ether, which is also heart, arguably from the water too. But those are your neutral, and so you're 3 in this format. Okay, so we have in the tree, we have exactly the same. We have the roots in the negative in the earth. We have the trunk in the ether of the air, and we have the canopy up also up in the ether. But we have one fourth element, which is the bark, or the arc, or the spark of life. And I'm starting to think that the spark of life is the bark, it's the skin, it's the thing that allows life. When you bring the positive and the negative together, you create that spark. You have an imbalance in the positive and the negative, you might get an overgrowth in spark, or an undergrowth in bark, and the tree will suffer as a consequence of that. But this fourth element, I think, is important. However, it is the 3 Tauruses that I'm really looking to expound upon. And I want to do something before I break that down. I asked my son to do something for me, and he did a pretty good job of it, actually, I have to say. I asked him to take me a tree of life. And I'll just change my camera around. I'm all kind of hot and flushed because I'm under the kind of spotlight right now. We all recognize that image, no problem there. Tree of life. Okay?
Yep.
What I've said to my son is, would you do this for me? Would you roll it on its side? Now it's not opening. It's opening in another application. Sorry about that. I don't need to do that. It's in here somewhere. Hold on a second. I'm just looking for it. Okay. Would you roll it on its side and color it in for me like this? Put the blue, the feminine on the top. This is my bowl. By the way, the letter B is very esoteric, isn't it? And if you take the letter B from the word bowl, you get owl. Again, another esoteric creature. Interesting, the owl moves its torso and its head completely separately of itself. And I think that's interesting. And I'll also show you the owl's face a little later on in this presentation. But what I've done here is I've colored this in to be your proton or your positive based electromagnet, and this is your negative or your in mainstream science it would be called in molecular science it would be called your electron. So this would be your lower, your 6, your hot, your L, your hell, your lower energies. This is your lower energies. And here in the center, in the purple, I've done this in purple, but the purple is the merging of the electromagnetic waves of the upper and the lower. I'm suggesting that you've got a third force created by the upper and the lower, or an overlapping. And in this overlapping area is what we call the Goldilocks zone. And that's really what I want to really unpick a little bit with you guys tonight, because you see, I think this model here, where you have this upper cold, positive, energetic force interacting against this lower negative energetic force within a plasmatic field, or rather within an etheric field. Can I say this is an area that I'm a little bit stuck on, because mainstream science talks about dark matter, dark energy, and everything being 97 or 98% of everything being this unknown dark energy. So for me, we exist in a soup. It's a plasmatic soup or an etheric soup. I'm not fixated on naming these things, but it's a soup. it's what I'm saying is that within that soup you have the 9 and you have the 6, and they create the 3, or they create the environment in which the 3 can exist, or which the purple can become an accretion disk or a creation disk. Now, I mean, I've shown people in my earlier presentations, and I suppose it's fair to show your viewers this kind of thing. This is the Under Armour logo, and this would be your upper bowl interacting with the lower bowl. So the feminine, which is like the cup, and it holds things. The masculine, which is pushing up and trying to mess with the feminine, which is why we have a lot of obelisk worship on our earth.
And the name Under Armour as well, look at it, that's underneath our skin. Yeah. The structure.
Yeah.
The atomic structure of magnetism.
Well, today, what I want to do is have a sip of my coffee. what I want to do is suggest to you all that, and I've got a bunch of logos, but in the interest of time and so on, I won't go through them. But the Gucci logo, oh man, there's just you name it. There's so many of them that kind of do this sort of thing. And this sort of thing right here, this is the Vesica Pisces, isn't it? You guys will know this very well. This is the Vesica Pisces, and it's very, very much celebrated by religions and so on. I'm going to suggest to you that these are electromagnetic wave fields. They're not physical, obviously, but for the depiction here, they're physical. And in this space here, this is the purple zone. This is the Goldilocks zone. This is the place we inhabit in here. We inhabit this place along here. And if your Martin Kenny's kind of model works, then it's that there are layers outward from here, perhaps, and these layers could be not necessarily physical layers, but ethereal layers, as you're saying, Josh. Heavens. The sort of where they talk about the seven heavens and the different kind of layers of things from where we are. But I'm going to try and focus my conversation today on this Goldilocks zone here in the middle. Mm-hmm. Now, I'm going to go away from that and just come to here. Now, just to remember, so what we're talking about, I've only got the black pen. I'm really sorry about that. But we're talking about the feminine, the 9, and we're talking about the masculine, 6. And we know that we have negative ions rising from the earth. We also know we have positive ions descending from ether or descending from above us. So these are things that we know. We also know that earth is neutral. We also know that earthing an electrical device is to make it neutral, is to kind of prevent it from having shocks, to prevent it from having difficulties, right? And in our world, if you think about us in the microcosm, then, if we are too heavily ruled by the 9, or as it seems, too heavily ruled by the masculine, or the 6, 6, 6, where they've replaced the 3, they've replaced the 9 with a 6 and a 6. That's what I'm contending, that that we are we've overinflated the masculine at the expense of perhaps the feminine, but to the detriment of the balance of the heart. And the heart and the earth and the ether and so on are meant to be kept in balance. We're not meant to ruin our earth. We're not meant to ruin our heart. We're meant to try and find a balance and even place. Not an uneven place, and I'll unpack that a little bit further as I go along with this presentation. Now, what we see, so this is your 9, this is your 3, and this is your 6, and what I would contend is that they create an arc, or a spark, or a shell, and that shell would be your cosmic egg. That shell would be your protective layer on the outside. But this heart, this 3, is doing something very important. You see, because in your body, your heart is responsible for ensuring that things keep moving, right? As it is with the within, so it is without. And what I think is that the energies from the heart are being circulated in and up and around and up and around and down and in. So energies, because we live in an electromagnetic universe, energies are constantly circulating from the cold, super cooled, ultra cooled regions in the upper echelons down into the superheated opposite, super magmatic, as you get beyond, let's just call this our accretion disk, as I said earlier on. Let's call it that. Let's call this creation. Let's call this, 100 miles or 1,000 miles of depth, if you like, and that's what, we've only dug 8 miles down. And we've only flown 100 miles up or whatever, who knows? So we've only explored a little bit of this, but let's just say this is what we have. And then beneath this, things aren't really matter, or they don't, they're not material in the way that we think they are. But I don't want to focus too much on the nature of that, because I think most of us accept that this is all some electromagnetic wave vibration system. So really it's all wave and vibration at the end of the day, and ultimately nothing's material. But if we thinking in terms of how our material world works and feels and stuff, then I would suggest to you, my dear friends, that what's happening is that things are cycling down. The hot stuff is getting drawn in, getting cleansed and purified and what have you, and brought up into your Mount Meru in the middle here. And this perhaps is part of the agenda, and I'll get onto that. And it's about, if you think about what the masculine does, it does the penetration into the feminine. So perhaps there's an intention to overinflate and overload the feminine, underinflate or damage the feminine, but rather than to keep a balance. So when you look at this, and I've thought about this a bunch in terms of how we try and understand how our world works, then and we'll get to this as a 3D. I'm obviously only doing this in a 2D scope right now, but when you think about how this circulatory system might be just like this could be a cut through of your heart, man. So this could be how everything gets kind of cleansed, because if you've ever heard me speak, I always say how, spring morning always brings perfectly crisp, clean air, despite the fact that we've been apparently atrociously polluting our atmosphere, our thin blue marble atmosphere for a century and more. And yet I can't find that dirt in my coffee when I drink it. Anyway, so the point I'm trying to make here is that I think that this would be the perfect kind of system for cleaning all the dirt and detritus out, because you bring everything down through a sort of superheated or a super cooled situation, right? The Goldilocks zone, what's interesting about this as well is that the Goldilocks zone would sit, if this was a cold thing and this was a hot thing, then the Goldilocks zone would sit at a place where the rock or the molten magmatic materials had cooled sufficiently to become our mountains and so on. In some areas, fissures and, like Yellowstone National Park, places like that, where you've got these geysers and hot rocks that are really close to the surface, that's easily explainable by this, because there are constantly moving currents within this. Equally, you've got the super cooled environment up here, but with it coming into reach of this superheated area of the 6, then things cool down. Sorry, things warm up, things melt. Atmosphere is created. The ether perhaps is created from that, or the ether is an element of water and so on. And these get created within this Goldilocks zone. So you get the rock forming and the water forming from the above. And I could go deeper into seawater and all that sort of thing, but I'll leave it like that for now. I think we do know that there's plenty of undersea vents where super hot water is being pumped back into the oceans and so on. So kind of, again, it lends itself to there being a cycle of these things. I'd like to stress at this point that, again, the activities of the 9, the activities of the 6 are not like two solid rocks sitting side by side. They are electromagnetic forces, and so they are overlapping and interacting with each other all of the time, which is why you will get things pulsing in an AC way. so this is what I think. This is an important point to remember: is that I don't want to pack everything. I need to show you another. I need to take you to another image. Is everybody still? You're still with me?
Yeah, maybe they'd like to just put a little bit of input there as you said all that, Dave.
Go ahead.
They're both muted right now. Josh, Martin, where are you?
I was talking. Hello.
Hello, my darling.
Sorry,
What did
mate,
you?
I must have done it by accident. I was talking.
Oh, I've done that many times. You think you're saying something, you realise.
Yeah.
What do you make of what he said then?
So yeah, I feel like it'd be good to. I can see the picture there. So the void at the center would be the mother's dielectric field, which would be the coldness in this universe. Dielectric is a cold field. Magnetism is the heat. That's why fires create magnets with iron. So there's the center, which is the 8. If you draw the 8, combining that little butterfly you've drawn there, if you make the center an 8, you'll see the X, and that X will mark the spot right at the center. The hot and cold thing you're speaking about is if you look at Walter Russell and Schauberger, like Martin was saying, that's how water works as well, and the flow and the currents of the water. And obviously water is magnetic itself. It is a representation of a torus, and the middle section that you're saying is the what are you calling it? Sorry, the golden. The terminology you're using for the center. It's like the inertial plane, yeah.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. The accretion disk.
The accretion disk, yeah, the golden bit of the center. Yeah, the creation disk. So all creator or creations or creators come from the 9, which is the feminine, which would be the void at the center, which would encompass all of us. So I see it as if you imagine nothing was here and it was just black. This would be the mother's womb, the complete 9.
Yeah.
And then from that
Yeah.
existence comes the light.
Okay.
Which is the magnetic field, that the reciprocation from the hot and cold energies, or the positive and negative, or the masculine and feminine, the clashing at the center of that disk, those two energies form the inertial plane. And then that inertial plane is a field. It's not really anything, it's more of a field, isn't it? And that field gives us life. And all life is made on that as an ideology from the original thought at the center. I'd like to go on forward from the 666 being the mark of the man, because it's actually 6 times 6 times 6, which is 216. Which, if you look at sort of occult mysticism, you'll find out that is the mark of the man, not the 666. Because I used to think it was the proton, neutron, electron.
Yeah.
But the mark of the man is actually 216, and this is kind of the new information from that, which we're trying to get to. I don't know if Martin, you want to say anything there, because I kind of lost my thought process because something walked past me then. But is there anything you'd like to say, Martin?
Yeah, I agree with everything that you've both said. I think this it ties in with stuff that has been said already. I mean, Walter Russell talks about this in depth, almost word for word. Schauberger, Santos Bonacci, Stan Tenen. I mean, the list is endless. So there's not much I can add because everything is on point. It's spot on. Bro Sanchez as well. So, I mean, for me, the question would be, I'm just going to be brutally honest and frank. Where I'm at, I'm past all of this now. I'm past philosophizing and trying to figure things out. I'm at the stage of action. This is where I'm at. I'm trying to apply this knowledge that we've learned about electromagnetism, about the field that we live in, and trying to manifest something into reality physically now. So for me, the time for talking is over. You'll notice I'm not doing videos. I'm not doing much research now. A lot of it is about taking physical action, and we can't do this on our own. This physical action or manifestation can only happen together.
Cool.
So hence,
well, that's cool, and I'm down with that, and I'm trying to do the action too. But I'll tell you why I think that this is, for me is slightly at odds with what Josh was saying, and obviously it's slightly at odds with what all the other guys that I've listened to pretty much have been saying, and that is that, you see, what Bro Sanchez will say is that there are two. Okay, so to answer your point about why I think this matters is if I'm right, then it kind of changes my head relationship with the universe and with the whole masculine feminine balance, and I haven't quite got to the crux of this yet, so you'll need to give me 10 more minutes. But what was I going to say about why that doesn't matter? It doesn't matter. I've lost the point, but I'm more than happy that this stuff has been
Are you looking at this upon like your mind, as in like the brain section, as in merging matter with the spirit, or are you looking at on the just like a universal torus level? Like, is this? That's what I think.
No, I mean, I think it's actually about understanding. It's actually eventually about understanding our world a whole lot better. But I'll get to that in a second, because because it actually is quite interesting. I think hopefully you'll still find this interesting. But the first, let me just say this one point, Josh. I think that where I'm saying it might be different is that if you look at this model, as I've numbered it like this, not that I'm saying it has to be this way, but if you look at it like this, then it says that the egg on the outside is the 0, and the 9 is the feminine within the 0. And most mainstream teachers, most guys will say that the 0 is the feminine. That's exactly what I'm saying. I think that's not quite it. I'm saying
so
that
zero would be the void,
zero,
which is nothingness. Yeah.
It's like everything. Actually, things need to go not from 0, but perhaps from 9 backwards. So it starts with the feminine, yes, and you go to the masculine, and then you have to have the balance in order for it to work. But what you get is you get this 1. Eventually, you get this 1, and you come back to ultimately the final kind of shape is the 0. It's like that's what kind of comes from it. So I'm suggesting that perhaps it's, part of the skewing of the masculine along the way has also been about skewing the feminine along the way. And so what I'm conscious of is that in the New Age movement, it's about bringing the feminine back. And if I was the controller, as they say, and this was a yin-yang game, this was a red-blue game, this was an on-off game, well, then they would be wanting for you to go from 6 to 9. They would be wanting to say, we've been 2666, now we want to be 999.
Of course.
And I'm saying that actually, when you realize that it actually comes back to 3, when it comes back to the heart,
but how would you
when it comes back to that, when you realize it's the green energy that you are creating, that you have to achieve this balance between them, rather than what I want to become now.
So this, well, Dave, I'll correct you there. I'll correct you there. What you're saying is exactly what the Baphomet represents. The Baphomet represents the 3. It's the androgynous. It's the middle path. Yeah. So actually the controllers do tell us, or wherever they are, do tell us that you want to seek balance. If you're too far on the left or too far on the right, then you're missing the mark. You always need to be centered. You need to be androgynous. This is why everything leads back to the center of the earth, the center of our hearts, the center of our minds, the center of everything. Everything's always at the center. So again, this, what you're saying is 100% true, 100%.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Well, then, without wanting to kind of belabor this, because I mean, if this is stuff that's kind of been done and dusted, that's cool. But this is something that really made something that Santos always does the sine wave thing, hey, across the line like that. and I could never quite figure out how that worked or how our world worked. But I'm going to offer you guys an option or another way of thinking about this. And you know what, Martin, I'm totally behind you getting, you know, on the road and changing the you know, getting your life, because that's what I'm doing with my shit. You know, I'm kind of getting my stuff together and trying to make, you know, the best things that I can, you know, best choices I can to kind of you know, de-matrix and you know, make a good life for a good family, as a good man, as a good community member, and so on. Do all of those things. But heck, you know, the reason why we got to asking these questions and to being where we are is because we are super curious about this and never really, pardon me, we never really we're comfortable with what we've been told about the world and so on. And I have never been comfortable, not never, but after the first year in looking at flat Earth, I wasn't comfortable with the model and so on. And I'm still not wanting to say, oh, you know, I think this is, you know, it's going to be this or it's going to be that. But I've got this kind of like this interesting way of looking at it now, and that is to let me draw it out and stop talking, and you can tell me what you think. Okay, so here goes. Now remember what I said. We are in this model. We are essentially the feminine or the positive overlapping at the Vesica Pisces with the negative, and it's this area here that
Dave, just hold the phone up a little bit more.
Sorry,
just hold the phone
guys.
up. That's okay.
Sorry. So the feminine energy, the masculine energy, and then this Goldilocks zone in the middle with the Vesica Pisces. I'm going to draw that Vesica Pisces for you here. Like that. Okay? Is everyone comfortable with that? Remember, this is the feminine, this is the positive here, and this is the negative here. This is your hot energy, and this is your cold energy. And there are layers, okay? Troposphere, mesosphere, exosphere, and all these kind of spheres. And they are sometimes cold and they are sometimes hot, depending on certain inversions and so on. But I want to offer you this to think about, because if this is the Goldilocks zone, and this is the area that we call Earth, and it has some deep crevices, etc., and it has some mountains and stuff like that. And we could call this, if you want to, just for now, we'll call that our North Pole, right? Then the feminine cup is holding all of the oceans, and the masculine male is creating the roof. And that's an important kind of, for me anyway, that's an important consideration, because now you think that outside of this area is all some etheric.
Okay. Look. I'm gonna tell you where I am, guys. I'm really tired. I agree with all of this, and you know, I'll be honest with you. I'm past all of this. We've spoken about this. You are absolutely right, David. But I want to talk about moving on. What are the implications of this? Where are we going with this? We've got the information. We've done the research. We know we know the basis of where we are. What are we doing? Where are we going? So my question to you would be, it's great that you found this, but what is the application and the implication of this work, of what you've discovered?
Okay. Well, then just give me 5 more minutes, please, Martin. Just give me 5 more minutes. I mean, if you need to drop out the call, I don't. That's cool. But listen. This is what I just wanted to make a point about. Is that if this is 2 torus fields, then we know that a torus field has a center a wobbling center moving around it, which means that the North Pole that I depicted here is actually inaccurate. That would be the center of the torus field. Okay, so if you had to do a cut through of this, if you had to do a cut through of this because it was two torus fields, it was two, they're going around like this in rings, and I had to cut that through, then this is what you would actually see. This is what you would actually see. Oh fuck.
So like an apple, you just got to look at an apple, and that'll give you the secrets to the universe. If we look at a ferrocell, we can see and view magnetic fields as above, so below. All is atom, all is the mother. This is everything that we really need to understand about the universe, and then we sort of need to apply it.
Okay.
Is that understood, or because obviously
application. We can philosophize and we can hypothesize and we can theorize for the next 25,000 years. But without application, without actually putting things into motion, it is pointless. It doesn't mean anything. You're just going round and round in circles. That's what we end up doing. And this is what's happening in the research community. We're just going round in circles because we're not applying anything at all. We're doing a lot of philosophizing, a lot of theorizing, including myself.
Yeah.
So we need to get past this and say, how are we applying this knowledge now?
Because we're all cubed. If I could say SQUR, the sine wave of the Q, you are, and that's a square, and you are squared. And what we need to, and cube as well, CUB. So you're actually a cube. And what we need to do is circle the square and become Tauruses ourselves and apply this to create our own world.
Manifestation.
Yeah. Right. This is the understanding I have personally, and I'm pretty sure Martin does too. That we're ready to apply the matter and spirit together to create our own atomic energy by squaring our own circles. And this is very, very deep occult knowledge. And obviously you can view a ferrocell and see a magnetic field, and that will give you all the secrets that you need to know what a magnetic field looks like and how the universe will work. And it's just that simple. It's basic. It's really, really, really simple how the universe works. The water works the same, apples grow the same, all fruit, everything is the same. And the pole would always be at the center. Always.
Absolutely. It's about application. So I think, and this is where you say this is where the magic begins. The magic must start to happen. And magic is simply applying this field of knowledge that you're talking about, David, which is
magnetic net, the mother's G net, and that's the magic. It's about understanding the net.
Absolutely. So I think this is where this conversation has got to go next. We've got to move on and say, right, okay, now that we know this stuff, now that we know about these forces, and now that we have a rough understanding at least of how this works, how are we going to try at least to apply this knowledge? What can we do about it? Because if we're not doing anything about it, we're just talking, and talking doesn't create anything on its own. There's got to be a merge of action. There's got to be physical. There's got to be metaphysical. We've got to act on those ions.
Sure, and I think, my feeling is that, see, for me, seeing myself as, that my heart energy might actually be integral to the energy center that operates this earth is part of this.
That's why your heart beats, because of the frequency of the earth. That's why it beats.
Absolutely. That's why you have a pulse. That's how our hearts beat. We are connected, but we cannot make this magic happen, or this magnetism happen. We cannot activate this magic if we are in our houses. If we're in our houses.
Eight is the magic number.
Absolutely. If we're boxed, we can't activate it. The only way you can make this manifest is if you're actively out in the wild, in nature, right? Away from this, what is it called? This fake field of energy that we've been boxed in. Our houses and Wi-Fi and 5G and 4G. All these things are put there to suppress our ability to tap into this magic that you're talking about, David. So if we're in our houses, on the internet, on Facebook, on YouTube, and doing this, we're not doing anything. We're just talking. There's no action. We need to get together. We need to rally as a family. those of us who are ready for this step, we need to find land where we can be together, where we're growing organic food, we're eating clean, we're drinking clean, and we're now starting to experiment, real experimentation of these forces, of this magic and how it works, and manifest things into reality for real, and not just talk about it. That is where we need to be.
Basics. Back to basics, and be
Back
as
to Mother Earth.
Be as I see is basic, and that's how it's spelt, and that's what we need to do. We need to just we found the secret, so all we need to do is apply it, which is eating of the earth, being around beings similar, raising the vibration, and then playing with this frequency that we all own and we have to express. I mean, the Vedic scriptures have been talking about using this for thousands and thousands of years.
Absolutely.
All we need to do is actually apply it by eating of the fruit of the earth, finding our fields generating with the mother again, and every step we make to rejoin the mother, the human experience gained its own let's say higher vibration, higher knowledge, higher frequencies, higher experience, higher forms of function. And if people are still eating meat or even sandwiches or anything like that, they're not going to be able to experience, for example, something I can experience, because I'm eating of the earth and I have been for many years, and I put no chemicals in my body. And the reason why my brain functions at such a high rate is because of that purpose. And if we're not doing these things, nothing in the world will ever matter or serve purpose until that. And that is another trap for everybody as well, you know. So all is understood with me, and I'm ready to make, like Martin's saying, is magic happen, because we've made the process steps to get rid of all the poisons in our body, and our minds are no longer held back by any sort of frequency or any sort of man-made substance. We are of the earth now.
And that's a great point. You know, there's nothing more that the controllers want us to do than to be on the internet philosophizing day in, day out. They want us there. That's fine. You keep talking about these things. If you're not doing anything about it, it doesn't matter. It literally will not matter. It will not physically matter. You were just talking. What they don't want us to do is get together. Right? Yeah. They don't want us in the fields together. They don't want our energies touching and connecting. They don't want us creating. That is when we make a difference, when we're together. You know, when me and Josh are together, I can't even explain, you know, the amount of magic we create. And that's just two of us. And we always say, imagine if there's 50 of us and we're vibrating at this frequency. Imagine what we can physically manifest, literally, as in magic. That is not airy-fairy talk. That is literal. It's true. So, you know, I'm done talking. You know, this is why I said I'm not making any videos. I don't even want to do hangouts anymore because it's pointless, right? We need to be together. We need to start rallying together. We need to be brave. Fortune favors the brave. We need to be brave. Those of us who are ready to make that move forward, we've got to make those steps. If you're in the comfort of your home and you're drinking your hot chocolate and smoking your fags or coffee or whatever it is, and you're comfortable in your central heating home, nothing's going to happen. You're still a sheep. You're still a slave. I'm sorry to say it. I've got to be blunt. You are still a slave to the system, and you are exactly where they want you to be. When you're out with Mother Nature and you're connecting to this magnetic energy that David was talking about, then things start happening in your life, collectively, individually, etc., etc.
Because God's mind is the fifth mind. This is the element. Element is L is obviously God, and E is the fifth mind. We need to be with the God's mind out in the elements, and I can assure you, magic just happens. And like Martin said, when we're together, the most incredible things happen. Something that you can't explain or express to anybody, because if someone had that feeling, they'd be selling their house right now, and they'd be with us.
Can I just say something? I understand, and in a sense, Martin, you're getting ready for something else, so your mindset's getting ready because you're going to go off on travels in your new abode that Astral's helping you with. But in a sense, we are at the we've been at the stage of communicating, and this isn't a bad thing. It's just that bad people do things with the internet and money and stuff like that. This is a great way. You've just told everybody I'm going on the road, so this is a good place to explain that. It's not everything is bad, but we're all at different levels. And
I think Martin was just on about obviously, if we keep ourselves in the same space, we're all individual universes living in the multiverse, and what people are at is different stages. And when you find a level of consciousness that you need to be moving forward to, if you've held yourself back long enough, like Martin's obviously spent a long time trying to spread awareness. It's time for people to take action upon their own life and realize that the only time that the universe will change is when we take action ourselves. As it is our own universe, we are a universe, and until we grasp that aspect, we're going to remain the same in the same system, talking about the same things, wishing that we knew more. Until we've made those steps, we'll never know more. Is that right, man?
Beautiful, Josh. Beautiful. So what I was going to say is, I'm just going to give an example, because a lot of people might say, well, I don't understand what you're talking about, this magic stuff and, manifesting things. I'm going to give you a really, really simple example. A couple of weeks ago, I made the decision that I need to come out of the matrix, right? I'm not going to move forward. I've asked all the questions I needed to ask. I've saturated my cup, basically, of knowledge. In esoteric circles, they say, first I ask, then I seek, and then I become. Right? So I spent a long time asking questions, long time. Then I spent a long time trying to seek the answers, right? The cosmic X stuff, the cosmic calendar stuff, that's all the seeking, research. And now I'm trying to become. I'm at that third stage, the triad that David was talking about, right? And that's where I am. So it's difficult for me to be talking about stage 2 and stage 1 stuff, because I'm past asking questions. I'm past seeking. I'm trying to become. And that's where Josh is. So that's where Josh helped me, because when Josh came to see me, I was still at the seeking stage. And Josh has helped me move into the becoming stage. Right, Martin? It's great. Cosmic egg, blah, blah, blah. It's all fantastic. So what? Now what? Now what? Now that you know this, what the fuck? What are you going to do?
Yeah.
And I just looked at him blank and said, well, I don't know. Go to the North Pole. How? I don't know. Well, if you're sitting in your house in Southampton with your central heating and your telly and your internet and Facebook chats, how do you think you're going to manifest anything? You're not. You're not going to manifest anything. You need to start applying this knowledge that you have. Great knowledge. It's time to apply it. Yeah. So the first thing I said was, well, I'm going to come out of this matrix, but I need someone to help me. I need someone to help me create a home that can help me make that transition. And then Astral Thief, I kid you not, 2 days later, called me. Hey, Martin, I thought I'd reach out. What are you up to? And I said, well, this is what I'm doing. I'm thinking of going off grid. Astral Thief says, well, I'm thinking about a similar thing. I'm a carpenter. I can help you build it. I said, great. Catch a plane. A week later, he was here. And here we are. It's manifested. I literally put the word out. Action happened. We're now halfway through it. Action. We have to take action. And I'm sorry if I sound passionate. It's because I'm worried that a lot of people in the truther community, you are stuck in this loop on this CD, going round in circles, talking about the same shit every day in, day out. No one's taking any action. No one's doing anything.
Yes.
How sad. How sad. Time for action. If you're serious and you're really, really serious about moving on and making things happen, we've got to take action. And I'm not saying everyone should do exactly what we're doing. I'm not saying that at all. I'm not saying everyone should go off grid, sell your house. I'm not saying that. What I'm saying is we all need to look at our lives, including myself, and saying, what am I physically doing, to move my life forward? Not just talking on Facebook and YouTube and whatever, but what am I doing actively? And if there isn't much that you're doing, you're stagnant. You're not moving. You're not growing.
Be like water, my brother.
Be like water. Keep flowing. Keep moving. Beautiful.
That's it.
What's the next stage?
And the power that just 10 people have alone, especially with knowledge. I mean, the people that don't have knowledge don't understand the true power that they have. But even for an example, you just open your door. Everybody just open your door and look outside, and the value of those houses around you is extremely incredible. And if you had 10 people or 20 people that you managed to just pull together yourselves, as I've been saying, grazing land is very, very cheap. And so are log cabins. And if you can all get yourself together, 10, 20 houses worth, maybe that's 4 million, sorry, that would be worth around about me, 200 to 250,000 pounds. Lands, as I've said before, £50,000 for maybe 20 acres, £30,000 for a 2 to 3 bedroom log cabin. Joe, you're a boy, you've got maybe 3 million, 3.5 million between 20 of you to spare. Put that in a bank, high interest. You've got maybe 3 or 4, £5,000 a week interest, or you could keep it. There's so much possibility. Unfortunately, we've been governed in our mental state through an illusionary act, and once we and understand this, we can free our minds, and after we free our minds, then we can make these actions happen. But also the most important thing we can do to free our minds is stop eating chemicals and of the Babylon system food that we've been given, and we've fallen into a convenient trap. The word convenient is con, and so is confectionery. You have an effect, and the confectionery is a con towards the effect. And if that makes sense to you, please start making these ions move, because you're ready. It is time to clean these bodies out, clean these minds out, move into your similar frequencies, get out of this system of poisonous water, poisonous food, council tax, etc., just a completely facade, fake system that no longer exists in certain people's minds. And you go to certain other persons, should I say, and then you have men that they believe that that's the only system in place. We all need to take charge, because there's many different levels on this world, and I can assure you the game's just begun. And if you're willing to take steps with me and Martin, let's make these steps happen, because I also am done talking on any sort of level apart from helping people, so I can answer questions, etc. But I'm no longer seeking, and I haven't seeked for a good 8 years, maybe 6. I've been within, and I've been looking for beings on my own until I reached out to Martin, and it's been very hard for me to try and find somebody on the similar wavelength. And now there's 2. It's time to make 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and then 9 until we're there, because it's not going to take long. It's just going to take a few minds and a little bit of currency, and we no longer need anything, and our future is ours. We make it.
Well, I think as you said, Josh, it's only just begun.
Yeah.
And I think it's also right to say that for the great majority of people, they're still on stage 1 or stage 2. And so
this is why we're here on the chat. So
even hold on a second. Even though there's those people who have gotten to stage 3, it would be unkind to say, well, because I've got to stage 3, I don't give a shit about anybody who's still at stage 2. So
I don't think Martin said that, or anybody said that.
I think that's kind of what's come across to me is that, shit, you guys just need to kind of get on with it, pack up your lives and make those changes. Well, I think that the game is a long game that is being played against us. I don't know that it's, we're running out of time and we've got 18 months or whatever.
Okay, I'm going to put it into perspective, David. Let's put it into perspective. Can you imagine if someone came into this chat and all they were talking about is chemtrails? And that's all they're talking about. Or JFK. JFK was assassinated, the government this. Martin. You'd be saying, look, we're past that. We're past that. We need to move forward. Let's pass the ball forward.
Martin, with respect,
so I'm not saying,
why did you come on the chat? The chat was about what I wanted to talk about.
No. Look, I'm not.
Come on the chat. If you're past it, my friend, if you're past it, don't come. Is all I'm saying. But I thank you very much. But as with respect, what are you going to do? You're going to come and say, "Well, this is shit. Stop talking shit." Because I've.
That is not what I said. That is not what I said.
Well, this is
That is
what's
not what I
we,
said.
we're here to help, like we're here to enlighten people that may not be on our level, and that's why we're giving up time. I mean, I've been busy all day, and I literally just made it 1 minute before because I was chopping up all my raw food, trying to make my family a lovely meal. And we're here to answer questions to people that might not have the inner standing that we do, and obviously that's all we're here for. I think what Martin's trying to say is you can find this information out if you look at Vedic texts, if you look at theory or hypothesis. I mean, across board, this information is here for everybody who's listening and everybody to see. And I mean, if you use your time wisely, then not you personally, my friend. I'm just saying, as in a being, as if people use their time wisely. There's a different time for everything, and right now, the time would probably be to ask questions. Maybe. I didn't really know what to say apart from that. But yeah, like we're here to answer the questions. I think Martin's trying to say, really, and make actions happen rather than to listen.
I think it's important.
Look,
I think it's important to realize. Let me say this. I think it's important to realize that there are people at every stage of this journey, and I think that to say that it's a waste of time for people to go out and do, say, flat Earth proof laser tests and so on, is to kind of to say, oh, we don't need people in the ecosystem who are concerned about that. We don't need to we don't need to have more and more academics eventually being forced to think about this. And I would say, well, no, I think the system would love for us to say, heck, we found it now. Let's all hightail it off into the bushes and leave the system to carry on doing its thing.
I'm actually saying the opposite. I'm actually saying the opposite. I'm saying people should be out doing experiments. This is what I'm saying. Action. People should be out doing activism. So I'm not.
This is that to me. That's what this is. For me, this was like, I've thought about something that sort of has helped me expound perhaps on well-traveled ideas. But for me, it was something that in all my research, I hadn't really had explained to me in such a way that I understood how this worked and how it offered a potential of how the sun works and all of this sort of thing, which I think, is adds a little bit of interest to a conversation that is perhaps a bit stale. And yes, I agree that, as part of our journey, hopefully we don't get stuck on chemtrails. We don't get stuck on 9/11. We don't get stuck on vaccinations and all of these other things. But at the same time, as my model was suggesting earlier on, we don't also get lost in the nine. We don't get so lost in the airy fairy up in the sky that we're not balanced.
Nine is everything.
And I think
nine is the
Nine is everything. Nine is everything.
Well, I mean, for me, just in the way that I was just depicting it, if you were paying attention to the model I was drawing.
Everything. Trust me when I say this. 9 is the all-encompassing womb of creation. 9 is 0 and nothing. It is everything.
Trust me.
And nothing.
Walter Russell said it. Schauberger said it. Tesla said it. Santa said it. These are great, great people. They're not stupid. They're not idiots. 9 is everything.
100%. It is the subconscious world that we're existing in, a dielectric field. It's 9 is cold feminine energy.
Everything comes from the womb, from the void, from the 9.
It always will. The mother was first.
This is why it's for me it's a compelling conversation to be having, and I think that the last thing I want to be doing is going, oh well, this guy said it, Tesla said it. Who the hell is Tesla? You know what I mean? We don't know anything about these people. They're given to us as these gods, and we're given books that we're meant to read and say, now these books, even though we accept that the Bible is only partially right, and this book is only partially right, and that book's not, but this book is absolutely right. So all I'm suggesting is that this thinking is that it places a 0, it doesn't make the shell the 9, it makes the shell the 0. And not that I'm not quite sure why that was becoming so important. But yes, because I think that if I was as clever as if these super clever controllers of the system wanted to give us the antithesis, firstly, it would sort of drive people in the opposite direction of the crazy masculine kind of imbalance that we've got. as a way of, oh, that's the antithesis. And also it would want for people to give up hope and say, oh, you know, in 2020, you know, 2019 or this date or that date, there's an event that's going to occur, maybe a mud flood, but, you know, there's an event that's going to occur and it's going to cause, you know, this huge change. So you need to run, you need to hide. Well, this for me is a little bit kind of like, this is a little bit like the doomsday kind of thing. You're just playing into the doomsday hand of it, rather than
Matrix
No
is
one's
the
running. No one's running or hiding from
Matrix.
anything.
so
We're
The
going to
Matrix is
find,
the
not
mother's
run or
trick.
hide.
well, then
The
what we
going to
need to do
find.
is we need
Go on.
to, well, what we need to do is be in our communities and build those communities up. And I'm all for, you know, guys
Yes,
setting up in a
yes,
field and all of that sort of thing. That
yes.
makes absolute sense to me. But equally, it also makes sense for people who are living this life in this matrix to start to change the balance in themselves from being either too male-centric or female-centric, and to achieve that balance of heart, which means that they start to sort of, you know, bring that kind of light to their neighborhood, because this system isn't going away. They're putting more CCTV up every day. More controls are coming in, more vaccinations for the babies.
It's a blessing.
So
It's
we
good.
need to do,
It's
the
good.
work is long and ongoing. So I think thinkers need to think about ways about how this system works. And actually, you know, the donut model, which is what this actually lends itself to, means that the hollow earth people and the round earth people and the kind of the ball oblate spheroid people are all kind of right. You know, there's a place for all of those in this model that I'm showing here. And and I think
agree.
that's like a valuable thing that actually brings a whole bunch of these disparate parts of the flat earth community together. I can explain to people how these magnetic energies rubbing against each other create the red and blue shift that we see in the star trail in stars and so on. You know, these things start to kind of give us answers. You know, the star in the jar, these things start to give us answers that like edify the conversation, edify the conversation for others that are coming along the line, guys, because, you know, there are millions and millions of people that I think are meant to follow eventually.
So if there are millions of people meant to follow, who are they following or what are they following?
They're following this path to the truth, surely, that this is what we're here for, is to
The truth.
And where is this path taking us? Where is this path taking us?
Well, hopefully more people waking up.
And then what?
We need the people to wake up before we can go anywhere.
And then what, Karen? And then what?
We need to make it ourselves.
If a billion people woke up tomorrow, what happens then?
They're all going to be asking the same question. What do we do now?
What happens then? Then what? We're awake now. We all know the answer. Then what?
Well, I mean, you're right, because it's much more than flat Earth, Martin. It's absolutely much more than flat Earth. It's about
us
the
becoming
self.
God.
It's about becoming the self. You know,
How?
knowing thyself.
How?
Well, this is all part of it. I mean, how you've got to understand how we work, you know, much as we can, and on all the work. Eventually, all the work that I've done, you know, in my own story is about cleaning myself up. You know, my mind, my body, my soul, and I know that you're doing or have been doing the same thing yourself. And I think that this is exactly what all of this journey, this travel for the last 4 years since discovering that my world was a complete fabrication, and deeper and deeper and deeper I went, the more I realized how much it impinged on me to become the best that I can be. So I know that you cannot turn the key tomorrow and say to everybody, hey, you know, we're opening the gates, it's free for all, because I know how messed up we are, and how sort of Darwinian crazed we are, and how, you know, materialist we are, and therefore how much we would just eat each other up because we do not love each other anymore, and all of these sort of things.
Dave, what you said was beautiful. What you said was beautiful, beautiful. And this is where I want this to be going. And this is where what I've been saying. I've not been saying that what you're saying is rubbish or wrong. All I've said is, you said something beautiful. You've been trying to change yourself and be the best version of you. You've been doing something actively. Now, you need to inspire people. What are you doing to change yourself? What is it you're doing? We can argue all day about what we think the earth is. It's a hyperboloid, it's a stone, it's a rock, it's a triangle, it's concave, it's convex. We will never know. It doesn't matter. It means nothing. How is it changing the world? How is it changing you? How is it changing your community? What are we doing? I'm not saying people should run away. People should be living in fear. Let's go in the woods. No one said anything like that. You're putting words in my mouth. What I said is, let's take action in whatever way you can. Now, I'm taking action by leaving Babylon, and I'm inspiring those who might be thinking the similar thing. Now, you might inspire people to change their diets. Look, guys, if you eat right, you think a certain way, you change this way, you become more clearer, more happier, whatever. You're doing something. That's all I'm saying, David. No one is saying anything about running away or going in the woods and everyone must just leave everything and pack. I didn't say that.
No,
I did not say
it was
that.
more it was more the inference that this conversation is moot because you've moved to stage 3. Well, it may be for you, but it's not for many others. And I think it's important for us to be respectful.
I want to start having a etymology class for beginners so that people can start understanding what it is they're reading and that. We want to take everybody with us, don't we?
With us where?
Not everybody. Well, in the end, probably to having our own lives away from what you call Babylon, because we're all realizing that nothing's really working in the globe life. It doesn't work for us anymore. Everything's working against us. We're all struggling with money, and it's like being slapped in the face all the time.
Yeah.
So
because we're not taking action. Because we're not taking action.
This is the matrix. It is the mother playing her tricks on us, trying to bring the righteous home. Like, no one's ever going to go back to the mother unless they're righteous and make the right choices every single day. And this is the virtue system when it comes into play. Every action has an equal and opposite reaction. It's all energy. It's all ions. It's all karmic. It's all action. Without action, nothing happens. You don't even get out of bed. So all we need to do is realize that the universe is a magnetic field. It works on positive and negative energy. There's a neutral energy which creates, as in a new T role, as in a role being something does, a T being the physical and new. A neutral is something that can create from the positive and negative energy. And by applying this into nature and our beings, we can then free ourselves from bondage and express and become God. Because I am not staying a man. I'm going to become a God and create my own world. Beautiful. But first, I need to conquer this world, conquer my own temple. I can't conquer millions. All I can do is leave Easter eggs and trails for people to catch on. If I express my brain on this channel, I can guarantee you 99.999% would have cognitive dissonance, think I was crazy until another 150 years. Like Tesla, I appreciate what he did, but I'm past Tesla. I can create everything he created myself. I know exactly how the universe works. I know how to eat. I know how to live. I know what to do. I'm just calling for other beings to get together, to get her with me so we can go on this journey and further it as a family. Safety in numbers. I've been doing it alone. You can do it. It's not impossible, as is I'm possible is impossible, and you can only do it yourself. Let's inspire beings like Martin has said, and like you're doing with yourself. We need to inspire everybody to take action, because once we do, we liberate ourselves. Liberate is liber, which is free, and 8. Liberate. You need to free the 8. 8 is the most important thing in the universe. It's a reciprocating hyperboloid. 9 is at the center, which creates light. 8 is light. And this is how everything's made, So Tauruses are everything. Everything's magnetism. And we are the creators, or we are creators stuck in a creation at the moment because we haven't been good enough to get ourselves out of it. And that is the basis of reality to my inner soul understanding. How do you think about that, Martin? The same?
That's beautiful, man. It's beautiful. Activists. I mean, I know, David, you're an activist and you go out on the streets. Beautiful. That's what we need to be doing. That is where all the energy needs to be going.
Active 8.
Activating things to happen. And that's the only way we can set this world on fire, is by taking action. Be the change you wish to see. Be. Not think, not discuss, not hypothesize or theorize the change you wish to be. Become. Be the change you wish to see. In your own way. People have different callings, people on different paths. There are people that are ahead of me. There are people that I'm ahead of. There are no leaders. There are no more enlightened people or more smarter people. We're all on our individual separate journeys. All I'm saying is, let's take action. You take
Only
action.
you.
What are we doing?
Yeah, it's only you. No, it doesn't matter how many people are in this world or together, it's about you. And if you're not with the people that are resonating with you, then the journey is going to be different and it'll be misunderstood
Lonely
by many beings. So it's
and
about
painful.
finding the people that are resonating on the similar level and then gaining the togetherness awareness and moving with that movement together, and then using enlighteners or darkness dispellers and gurus to help you along your way, when you're at the point of understanding who you are, because
Mm.
this is going to everybody. What we need to do is figure out their journey is self, and no matter what anybody thinks, it doesn't make any difference to what we think, because we have to understand it first. So all the knowledge is out there, but the knowledge really is within, and really you can
Yeah.
acquire all the knowledge from the first letter in the alphabet, the first number, and looking at an apple.
Brilliant. And it's great that earlier on you mentioned, David, about 2020, this event. Do you know what? I don't care. I'm not even thinking about 2020 or what events might come. I really don't give a shit about that. I don't. I'm focused on creating magic in my world. That's the only thing I'm focusing on now. That's all I care about. I'm disconnected from this reality. You wouldn't even believe it. I don't give a shit what is happening. All I give a shit about is what am I creating? How am I changing my world? How am I changing the people around me? How am I affecting those who are resonating on the same path with me? What are we doing individually and collectively? That's all I care about.
Well, that's fair enough.
Can I ask you, Martin, one thing? Remember when I said to you, you just got to be brave?
Yep.
And I told you about the power of the manifestation comes when you just be brave and have faith, yeah?
Absolutely.
How has it worked so far? In a matter of how long? Maybe 4 weeks, 5 weeks, is it?
I can't even express. If I began telling people, they'll just think I'm balmy.
Right.
I'm crazy. But
so the mother's rewarded you with the blessings, the gifts, showered you with
unlimited. Money's just flowing from places I never. I just wake up. I don't worry about money. Things are just manifesting themselves. I ask and I'm receiving because I'm virtuous and because I understand how this works. This matrix.
Yes.
Awesome.
It's that simple.
The virtues are the most important thing, aren't they, Martin?
Most important thing, and you will never want for anything ever. The universe will just pour it and give it to you. You wake up in the morning and say, I want this, and it happens. And Astral Thief will tell you here, we don't worry. We don't think about what's happening in the world on politics or Astral. Since you've been here, have I talked about 2020 or events or any of that? No. We just focused on where we're going. What's the next step? How are we making things happen? Right? Where are we going? What are we doing
that's really
now?
Good. I think that's really good advice. And that's pretty much how I've been telling my family to kind of focus on things because, you know, I've looked at this mud flood stuff and the Tartaria stuff lately. And you know, there are those, you know, the possibilities that things can be, especially if it's like an electromagnetic system that can be altered with a frequency shift. They could change the level of the seas or change the nature of the land so it goes soft or whatever. And if that's happening in the past, then it's happening in the future. And, you know, people will, when they hear about that, think, shit, you know, that has the potential to be a catastrophe, biblical catastrophe. And I think those things can be put out as fear porn. And I would also heartily recommend the idea that, you know, you work on your temple, you work on your arc, your own self, and those things around you, and whatever happens, you'll be going in the right direction tomorrow and the next day, whatever happens. So
beautiful. And here's the most beautiful part of all of this. This is where it gets so beautiful. We can't change the events of how this universe works. We can't change what's happening. We cannot change it. We can't. The wheels are set in motion. It's written in the stars. Whatever is happening for a reason, and I can't change it. You can't change it. Right? There is a journey here. What we can change is how we walk this journey from today onwards. Are we going to walk it alone? Am I going to walk it with my family and my friends and people I resonate with? Are we going to do it together in happiness, in abundance? Am I going to do it in fear in my home in Southampton with my little family? Right? That is what we can alter. That is what we have control over, is how we see this through, whatever this is. Because there is something happening. We obviously all know that. Right? And this is all I'm saying. Now, personally, regardless of whether anything does happen or not, I now know for a fact, this world that I live in is
Supernatural.
yeah, it's supernatural. Now I want to walk this journey from today onwards with my family, with my soul family. I want to make sure that whatever time I have left in this realm, in this time, in this place, I'm enjoying it with the people that I love, with the people that I resonate with. I want to wake up in the morning around the same energy. Hundreds of people. That's what I want to do. I might as well. I do not want this to end in my little house in Totton in Southampton. How boring. How freaking boring.
And how much cheaper is it to move away from Babylon provided death pledges? You know, if people just bought a bit of land and built exactly the same house on it together, they'd have so much money spare. The only thing is everybody's too busy in busyness to see this. So these are the eyes that have been projected in the gift given by Martin tonight, because I think you're being so inspiring, mate. And I think a lot of people are going to be twisting their minds, and they're going to have a lot of cognitive dissonance right now. But tomorrow they're going to wake up. I think a lot of people will feel empowered to maybe make that change, mate, because I feel not a different wind in the air tonight. I feel like a sudden subtle change has happened across board, and like a bit awkward at times, but I feel like this conversation has done lots for many, and yes, well done, mate.
Cool.
Well done. Yeah.
Nice.
That's awesome. And look, David, I'm sorry if I offended you, if I came across the wrong way. I'm just really passionate, and I'm in the zone. I'm in the spirit. It wasn't,
No, good for you. Good for you. No, that's fine. Obviously, I've got a little bit of, I want to kind of build on this. I wanted to, work on it and so on. But hey, it is what it is, and I'm happy that we had this conversation. And as Josh was saying, it's been really useful.
Yeah. Do you have anything you wanted to add, or anything you wanted to ask, or could we help you out with anything? I don't mean to sound like I don't really know your work. I've never really been on the internet, like I said, until recently. So, I mean, we can put you to some work, maybe, or because
I was. No, there was a term that I wondered if you'd come across, which is that the equator would probably means Equatorus.
Gathering up. To equate is to gather, so the equator would gather the torus,
or be the equal distance, because you've got equinox, like equal night day. Equator would be Equatorus, which would be equal distance between two torus. In the middle.
Yep, equal.
Yeah.
Yeah, but both are right. Both. I think personally, in my opinion, both are equally valid.
They both are. They both are the same. They would both be conjoined as well.
Yes.
They would cross on that part. Yeah, they would cross, and that's why the sun's on the equator, because when those two fields cross, that creates sonoluminescence, which is the sun, and that's how it's light in the sky. It's just when those two fields cross. So they cross on the equator, and that's why the sun is there. It equates the light, gathers the light, and it is on the equilibrium of the light. So I didn't know how far or how we can take this conversation, because we can go as deep as anybody wants to go. But that's how that works. So sonoluminescence is two.
I don't know if I'd be as confident as that about that, to be honest, because I've looked at the way that the torus field operates in the electromagnetic plasmatic thing, where you see that the twisting whipping motion that it makes, then you can see how you might get a moon going through a half moon, full moon cycle. If you were looking up into the torus, like the twisting of a water going down the plug hole, for example. And the sun also, I mean, when you draw the cross section of the sine wave like that, and you try and plot it across this plane, and it doesn't quite work. I'm not. All I'm saying is there's other models that I think are worth discussing for those people that are interested in discussing those things.
Yeah, I think I've been through all the models personally myself, like,
Okay.
and I think I feel like I have the inner standing, and I've had it for a long time. And that's all I was just trying to say, really. And obviously, we're all at different levels. We've all focused on different things our whole life, and some of us can connect to the ether and find out the answers that way. And me and Martin have done it, haven't we, mate?
Yep. I mean, at the end of the day, I think, there's nothing wrong with asking. There's nothing wrong with seeking. I ask, I seek, I become. Everyone has to go. Everyone must go through that process of asking, of seeking, and then becoming. Everyone has to go through, and transmuting. Sorry, transmuting is the fourth stage. Transmutation. So there are probably many people who've transmuted, what people call ascending. And we're now getting deep into spiritual, but I'm not there personally. I think, Josh, you're not there personally. We're trying to become at this stage.
Yes.
And equally, there are those who are still asking, there are those who are still seeking. And if I spoke to someone who's past all of this, possibly who's in the occult, who's past becoming, they're looking to transmute, I'll be like a child. They'll be like, well, okay, great. So it's not about looking down on people or saying, I'm not saying anyone's more better or ahead than anyone. Those who are seeking,
we should know this, shouldn't we? We should know
those
that
who
you're
are
not.
asking, ask.
Yeah, we should all know that nobody on here has got an ego, shouldn't be presenting an ego, and there was no egotistical thing there at all, because we're already on the understanding that there isn't one. Well, there is one, but Martin's not presenting it here, and I'm not trying to present anything like that. And we think that people that have known us, we're not like that, and it's not about being or bringing the ego into anything. It's about dissolving the ego and marrying matter with spirit in the mind and becoming, as Martin's saying. So yeah, but I've got a lot of love for everybody in this universe, and all I really want to do is help and see people reach their goal, and the goal is within, and you need to go all to get your goal.
That's very nicely put, Josh.
Yeah. I think I'm gonna drop the loop in a minute, because I've got a really early start. But I'll hang on for a bit. I just thought I'd just put it out there, okay?
Yeah, well, we've been going for nearly 2 hours, so yeah, that's if
just remember, we're all beautiful stars, okay?
Yeah.
We are stars, and the center sun is the creation shining up and shining us down on angles of light. We have an astral body and a physical body. We need to unlock our physical connection to the astral with food, and then connect both of them, leave our physical body at will, and create. And this is truth. Right there, that's the truth of this journey of human experience. There's 10 dimensions, and we're stuck in matter, thought and emotion. And we can conquer this. So, we need to get together, the people that are thinking like this. Let's find ease in this matrix, move away, and then let the journey roll out. Let it become a new troll or a new roll, because we all have the capability. And if we're here to answer questions as well. Like if anybody's got a question of how and things, obviously is all within, but there's so much disinformation out there, and it's just nice to try and point people in the right direction, because that's the biggest eyes you can give someone is the keys away from the disinformation, because only about 0.5% of it's actually true, and you can get lost in those worlds. And the most important thing is finding your way back out of those traps.
I mean, that's beautifully put, Josh. I'm just going to elaborate on what you said earlier on. If we really, really want to break down all of this, which is the right model, what size is the Earth, what shape is it? When you break it down to its bare bones, there is no Earth. It doesn't exist. There is nothing. All is mind. It is all a construct of our minds. There is no earth. There is no hyperbole. There's no torus field. There's no cosmic egg. All those things are constructs we are creating, right? To give matter to this physical existence.
The philosopher is the
But in essence, it's not there.
That's big. That's big. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah. We need to lose phi. The phi loss cipher is the cipher of loss phi. You lose phi. You need to de-phi. Difficult is de-phi cult. It's the cult to de-phi. It's not going to be easy, guys, but you need to de-phi. And it's going to be difficult. And the phi ratio that we're existing in is the creation or the creation disk. It is everything we're existing in. There's many other places to express our soul, and we're trapped here in our cells. We've been given language as the key, language and numbers, and these things set us free. And together we can spread knowledge and awareness. And like we said, the best gift of all is having the eyes to free yourself from disinformation. Find local people that are resonating with you, and make steps together, guys, because this world is beautiful, but there is so much more beauty on the other side that's waiting for us. And
yes,
once we can conquer this, we don't have to recycle here and reform. We can go and be luminescent and entwine with the light. Twilight zone. That's where home is.
Create.
And yeah, create, mate. It's all about creating our own life. And we do need beings on like mind to help us, because we are so deep right now. We're so deep in a matrix of control. But also it's so freeing at the same time. It's so liberating and it's so freeing. So liberate yourselves, go to a library, spelt Libra, which is free the sun, and you have a Y on the end of it for a choice. Our choice, the R and the Y. It's our choice to free the sun. And we need to start doing it. Thank you so much for having me on tonight, and it was very lovely to speak to you all.
Pleasure, Josh.
Thanks,
I
Josh.
hope you have a lovely conversation. No problem, mate. It's really great to meet you.
Likewise.
And I hope we speak again soon.
I look forward to it.
Have a great night all. Nice to see you, hear from you again, Martin and Astral. Karen, thanks for having me on.
Cheers for coming,
Pleasure.
Josh. Yes, thanks,
Yeah,
Josh.
no-
It's nice to hear from him, brother. You know, hopefully you'll come out here soon.
Yes,
See what we're
mate,
up to.
yeah. I'll try and pop up on the weekend. Not this one, but the one after. If you're still here, it'd be great to just spend a couple of days.
Yeah, brilliant.
Sweet. Lots of love, my family, and yeah, let's free ourselves. Let's look for land. Let's look for our friends and family that are resonating. They don't need to be our blood. Just look around you. Equity's everywhere. Knowledge is everywhere, and freedom is only found within. Okay.
Yeah.
Yes, I like those words, Josh. Freedom is found within. Yeah.
It's only found within. So lots of love, everybody, and I'll see you all soon. All right.
Love you, man.
Thank you, Josh.
No
Take it
problem,
easy, brother.
Peace.
Thank you, Josh.
Yeah, I'm going to call it tonight as well, guys.
All right, we might as well go off.
Yeah, shall we end the hangout all together then, and then say goodbye off air? Well, just say goodbye off air to each other. Chat room, thank you very much for listening. Been a very exciting hangout tonight. Thank you so much to Patricia, who dropped off, to Josh X, to Martin Kenny, and to Trinity for Dave. Thank you so much.
Thank you, guys. Love you guys. Love you, love you, love you, love you endlessly.
Yeah, thanks, everyone.
Thank you.
Bye, everyone. Big hugs.